Again guys, and welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video here at the House of Devlin, and this video is counting down the days that we have to Halloween. Now I'm celebrating Halloween this year, both on the day by dressing up and all the rest of it, but also by doing this small fun to have video series that is how to kill and whatever mythical monster it might be. This mythical monster is my favourite mythical monster, really, out of all the sort of the modern myths and stuff, and that is the werewolf. How to fight and kill the werewolf. It is going to be a difficult one because this is an adversary unlike the skeletons and the zombies, which are relatively slow or fragile or something along those lines. This is a very potent, very strong, very fast and potentially very tough opponent. And how to kill it, how to fight it, how to survive it, wow. I will share my thoughts on it as soon as within this video. However, this is the opportunity for you guys to pause the video, as I've been doing with every video, to put in the comment section and have a little think to yourself, how would I fight a werewolf? And just put in the comment section, without listening to my video, without looking at all the other comments on there, how you think you would kill a werewolf. How you would fight a werewolf using medieval weaponry or medieval limitations to some degree. I would be very interested to hear your thoughts. Some people come up with some fantastic ideas, and it's nice to see the way that people's minds work. Okay, so I hope you've unpaused the video so that we can get on with it. This is my thoughts on how to kill a werewolf. First of all, of course, we need to define the rules. So really, you should have paused the video after this bit, but there we go. So we all know what a werewolf is, though. It's pretty much established in mythology, the very basics of what a werewolf is. A werewolf is a man who can change into the shape and form of a wolf, especially during the lunar cycle of the full moon. Okay, there are other bits added to that, but that's the original myth. A man who turns unwillingly into a wolf during the full moon part of the lunar cycle. Now, for this presentation, we're going to make things interesting, okay, because we're going to add a few of the sort of newer sort of ideas. And when I say newer, I mean like from the 20th century, early 20th century, sort of the black and white films and stuff, introduced a few other little extras, and they may be older, actually, the origins of these myths. First of all, the werewolf. Originally, the werewolf could be killed by any means necessary. It was a tough creature to kill, but it could be killed via any means necessary. At least that's how I understand it. However, they introduced later on that werewolves could only be killed by a silver bullet. Now, what I'm going to say is that a werewolf can be only killed by a silver weapon. It's allergic, definitely allergic to silver, and if that silver causes, or the weapon that is made of silver causes a severe wound to the werewolf, then it will lead to the werewolf's death. However, this not only applies to the werewolf in its wolf form, but also its human form. It's allergic to silver, and again can only be killed ultimately by a silver weapon. Now we're going to go Witcher style. Anyone who's seen Witcher will know that he carries two swords: a normal iron sword, or steel sword for fighting mortal men, and he carries a silver sword for fighting monsters of all varieties. Okay, and so what you would need would be some very specialist weaponry to carry out a werewolf hunt. And if you were fighting or hunting a werewolf, you would definitely need to come prepared. This is not a fight like with the skeletons and zombies where you could use improvised weaponry, because if you do, you're gonna lose. Sometimes you see in films or read in books that werewolves can also change at will into the werewolf, and the transitional process takes anywhere between sort of 15 to seconds to a minute, so 15 to 60 seconds roughly, 2 minutes tops. And so what I will be doing is I will be using my favorite Halloween horror movie, The Howling, as a reference to this, and a reference to all of the myths of, really, of the werewolf to some degree. And that is, it takes time for that person to turn from man to wolf, but they can do it at will. It's just they have no choice during the full moon. During the full moon, they have to turn and they have to become a werewolf. Now, if you're bitten by a werewolf, you will become a werewolf in the next lunar cycle, unless you kill the wolf that bit you before your first lunar cycle, the next lunar cycle in your infection. Okay, these are all fairly solid in the mythology of the werewolf. I'm just really making it clear for anyone who doesn't know that much about werewolves. Okay, so beyond that, what are they? Well, they're men who turn into wolves, but the wolves that they turn into typically are bigger, stronger, faster wolves than what you would get at a zoo, for example, or in the wild. They are predatory animals that can almost act almost like a hybrid between man and wolf. They can sometimes stand up on two legs, and are very comfortable on their hind legs, though most of the time they will act on their forelegs, okay? Because one, they're faster, they're harder to knock over, and it does give them an advantage to some extent. But for sheer intimidation, standing up on two legs when you suddenly are around about 7 foot tall, 7 foot long, whatever, can intimidate people very much indeed, especially when the head is looming above you. So with razor sharp teeth, sharp claws, and obviously showing all the fur that you have, it can be a very intimidating process to do. So standing on hind legs is possible, but I don't see the werewolf doing it when it's about to kill or hurt you, okay, or anyone else nearby you. Okay, as I said, if you do get bitten, not clawed, but bitten by the werewolf, you yourself, as long as you survive your wounds, will become a werewolf in the next cycle. So we're up against an adversary so far that is faster than us, stronger than us, stronger than us, faster than us, has teeth, has claws, and has a virtual immunity to damage apart from specialised weaponry. And so what I was originally going to suggest was look at how wolves are hunted by man, or have been hunted by man in the past. How are they hunted? Well, it changes anyway, because werewolves, unless they're part of a group, we tend to represent them as solitary animals. That is, they're not pack animals. They are in films like The Howling and stuff, where they come up in groups, and that would be very hard to handle because you're handling a pack of werewolves. But we're talking about a single solitary werewolf, maybe someone who doesn't even know they're a werewolf. They're living in the city, they turn every lunar month, so they're not going to turn at will necessarily, unless it's simply that's provoked by an anger or fear response. The body will turn defensively into the werewolf to allow them to defend themselves. So we'll say that. So they can turn willingly, but they don't know it at this point in time. My answer is, when fighting a werewolf in its full form, is that you're fucked. Okay? It's going to outmaneuver you. It has the intelligence of a man. It's got claws. It's got teeth. There's not a lot you can do other than use what my girlfriend described as a poddy stick. Okay? A very sharp poddy stick, which is a spear. Use a spear, and I would try and basically capture the werewolf in a silver net. Okay, so you'd have a silver net fashion for yourself. Who the hell could do that? I don't know. Be strong enough to hold it? I don't know. But have a silver net to throw over the werewolf. Have a spear where the spear tip is made out of silver. And I would have a backup weapon, a sword, on my back or by my side, depending if I want to look like a witch or not. I would have a silver sword to finish the job and decapitate the werewolf. This would require me to also have hunting skills to go out into the wild. Now, we're saying the wild, we're talking a city here. This is most likely a person who lives in a city, a town, or, a large enough village where most likely you're probably going to be hunting them in an urban area rather than a rural area, because it would change. But if you're hunting them in a rural area, you're going to need to have tracking skills. You're going to need to know all about how to sort of track an animal in the wild. I don't know the skills that are required for that. But so I would be fucked. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't chase it into the woods because that's its territory. The city is my territory. In the city, they're going to stand out like a sore thumb. Okay, unfortunately they will be victims, so you basically follow the blood until you find them, and then you would hunt them and kill them. However, for me, the most efficient process, and even then it still wouldn't be possible, you'd have to go as a group and basically act as a pack animal yourself. Humans are great at hunting in groups. Okay, where you can surround whatever animal it is. Doesn't matter how big and strong it is, you will bring it down. Doesn't matter whether you use medieval weaponry or modern weaponry, you work as a group and you surround your opponent, or your adversary, or in this case the werewolf, and you kill it using your specialised weaponry, as I say, the nets, the spears and the swords. Okay, this is how I would kill a werewolf. Okay, in its wolf form. However, ideally, if I knew there was a werewolf in the local area, I would research. I would let the wolf do its killing. Okay, and I would put an X on a map of the city that I live in, Birmingham, every time there's a killing, and I would try to find the epicenter of the killings. I would try to find an epicenter to any sightings or anything along these lines, and I would try and work out where the werewolf lives as a human being. That's the important bit, because when he's a human being, he has no special abilities other than the fact he can't be killed by anything other than silver, and even that, most myths, actually the human can just be killed normally, but I'm just saying that he can't be killed by anything but silver bullet, because if you attack him with something, he would start transforming. That gives you some time when he's transforming. If you do fuck up when you find him as a human and he transforms, you've still got 20 seconds at least to ram him with your silver sword and finish the job. And so what I would say is, be patient. Be a hunter in this case. All hunters are patient, and even if their quarry is dangerous, even if their quarry is killing, they still need to be patient. And I would locate where he is as a human being. I would research, I would do surveillance, I would do so on and so forth. I would watch where the werewolf is coming from, and then I would go to where he lives, or I would catch him in the street with a group of people just in case he changed, and I would kill him with silver weaponry. I would capture him in a net just to try and slow him down, and then I would stab him with a silver sword, maybe even have a silver club. I don't know if that would be even feasible. Silver is a very soft metal, probably wouldn't be feasible whatsoever, but I would definitely have a silver spear and a silver sword, and I would just deal with him in that way. better deal with him in his human form than his wolf form. That's what I say. Don't know if you agree with me. Anyway, happy Halloween, guys, and I'll see you soon.